So a lot has been made about fasting lately. So basically that's kind of like why I wanted to make this video, just to kind of like show feedback, kind of like what my thoughts are about it, and the good, the bad, and the ugly, and all of that kind of stuff, all that kind of fun stuff. Yeah. So if you're kind of like a bit out on the limb on this, basically I just kind of like set the scene, and there's basically been quite a bit of talk online amongst health and fitness videos about fasting and the alleged benefits of this. There's been, what some of these are kind of like a bit more kind of like common sense, a bit more fundamental, such as like weight loss, weight management, all of that stuff, which is all kind of like fair. I think that there is something where I think if you are looking to use fasting as a weight management thing, then I do feel like it is important to be mindful of what your relationship with food is, type thing, because it does kind of like depend. It does depend on your relationship with food, because I suppose, like, if you have been, hypothetically, if you've been depriving yourself of food for a certain amount of time, then there is that kind of like pitfall that when you go into that window where you can eat again, then you tend to kind of maybe be prone to overeat, type of thing. So that all kind of comes down to, I suppose, your own self-discipline, doesn't it? But it is kind of like a pitfall to be kind of like mindful of if you are using fasting as a weight loss or a weight management. But that hasn't really been kind of a cause for a lot of this talk about fasting online. A lot of talk online about fasting has been about the autophagy, and so anyone who doesn't know what autophagy is basically the claim that if you've been fasting for around 36 hours, your body goes into this state known as autophagy, which is basically kind of like a recycling process where it starts to kind of, because obviously it's not getting all the usual nutrients and glucose and stuff that it usually does to fuel its body. It has to kind of like start stripping from elsewhere, and kind of like starts to use all your dead cells and all of that kind of stuff to kind of like regenerate, and to kind of like nourish and fuel itself. So it all kind of becomes a bit of a bit of a recycling, regenerating kind of process. And like autophagy has become like a bit of a buzzword type thing, that and people have been kind of like talking about this kind of like regeneration process like it's something like Doctor Who or something like that, and it's really not. I mean, that's not be kind of like this in any of the supposed like benefits of it, because it does like kind of like depend. But I just feel like it's one of those where I do kind of like feel that but there's all of these claims that going through this process is kind of like has potential health benefits. Some will claim to the extent that it can potentially reduce the risk of cancer, that this process can kind of like kill cancers cells as well. There's claims that it can improve like cognitive function as well, so people are kind of like hypothesizing if this could be like fasting could be a reduction to the risks of dementia and Alzheimer's as well. So all of these claims are like particularly like interest to me, so after kind of like looking into myself, I can sort of see the validity. There are claims of obviously the process of autophagy and what that actually means, and all of that kind of stuff. They are all kind of like pretty well established. They are kind of like well founded, so I think that there are potential benefits. So I'm not going to like diss on fasting. I mean, I usually do a 48-hour fast myself, like around every 6 months. So I'm not here to diss fasting, but with all this kind of like trend and this wave of all of these claims, I gotta say I do have concerns though. I do kind of like worry about this flip side of of what this could kind of like potentially mean, especially for people who either have or maybe are at risk of kind of like developing eating disorders, and then you kind of like end up with this kind of this also kind of like wave of maybe eating disorders kind of like being on the rise in light of all of these claims, and there being, you know, and obviously I'm not kind of saying that fasting and eating disorders are the same. I'm not kind of like saying that, but I am kind of like aware of kind of like how the one can kind of be masked as the other. So you know, there is like so I'll be honest, there is a concern. There is a concern on mine, and especially when people start to talk about kind of like cyclical fasting, do you know what I mean, where people are kind of like doing this on a like a recurring 24-hour, you know, daily process, because you know you gotta think that, you know, if you are fasting for the sake of autophagy, then obviously that, you know, that's a process your body goes into, like I said, after around like a 36-hour mark. So you know, what are you doing for low fasting for like 16 hours or whatever, do you know what I mean, on a daily basis, apart from obviously maybe if you're kind of like using it for the purpose of weight management, do you know what I mean? So you know, it's like I said, you know, and I'm not kind of like here to this intermittent fasting, do you know what I mean, but I am kind of conscious of how this could be kind of like potentially, you could have these cases where it could potentially be used to mask it, eating disorders. So that's kind of like a concern of mine, and that's really the main thing that I really wanted, the reason why I wanted to make this video, and kind of like put that out there. And also, you know, just to kind of like, because like I said, I do think that it is something that we need to be mindful of going forward. So I do, so yeah, that's pretty much it. So yeah, I guys, I kind of like really would invite you to kind of like share your own like opinions on this. Let me down in your comment section about what your own thoughts are, what your own like experiences are with it, you know, good or bad. Yeah, like I said, I'd like to like thank you for watching this video. If you've enjoyed this video and you want to see more, then don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Thank you very much.